But I looked at the map a while ago, and believe you me, there are thousands and thousands of persons interested in the conversation that I'm about to have with an attorney at law who represented Vybz Kartel in this matter that has now seen him being freed along with his co-accused. The attorney who said, "We are thrilled that our client Vybz Kartel has finally been released from prison after 13 long years. The Court of Appeal's decision not to retry him for the murder of Clive Lizard Williams is a vindication of our tireless efforts to prove his innocence. We always maintained that the original conviction was unsafe due to juror misconduct, and the Privy Council's ruling upheld our position. We are grateful for the justice system's recognition of the flaws in the original trial and look forward to our client rebuilding his life." End of quote from Isat Buchanan, who is my guest right now. Attorney at law Isat Buchanan with us in the Big Story segment. Good morning, Isat. How are you today?
I'm great, and morning to your listeners, viewers.
Yes, sir. We're happy to have you. First of all, congratulations. You put in the hours, yourself and your team, and you got the result that you were hoping for now, didn't you?
Finally, long awaited, but justice rushed is justice crushed. So, in this situation, it was well worth it. And, once again, great respect to the Jamaican Court of Appeal, because they, they gave us the platform and the window to really delve into the matter to increase the jurisprudence. So not only for Mr. Palmer, but for many to come. Many other cases to come, and the framework is now set to correct a lot of the loopholes and flaws in the justice system, because justice is about not only victims but also the accused and giving effect to the Constitution.
Mm-hmm. The trial itself, I mean, many people were surprised when you went to the Privy Council and won, and then you had this seemingly, shall we call it, a hurdle to overcome here in the Jamaican courts. Were you expecting that to have happened after the Privy Council ruling?
No, well, I didn't see it as a hurdle. Like I say, we are in the social media age where things must happen immediately.
Yes.
But it doesn't necessarily work like that in the law, in terms of the law. The court went through a lot of this is the fastest that the court has moved. That's what I want people to appreciate. And although the Privy Council said he was free in March, they still waited another month. And so their orders didn't come until April. Mm-hmm. Thereafter, in terms of the preparation, you have to think about getting the evidence, the medical reports, the psychiatrist report, finding out if our witnesses are dead. We had to do private investigators and research to ensure that we had our witnesses, and that's how we found out that our defense expert was dead. So to bring all of that together is not something that could have come overnight. Mm-hmm. What I will say is, I said in another space when I heard that the Crown wanted to say we want the retrial rather than showing up and conceding based on the Constitution itself, that they weren't doing it. I just thought it was for entertainment, and I guess they gave a good show, so I'm happy for them.
For the benefit of the listeners, Isat,
yes.
Why would you say the Privy Council overturned the murder conviction in March of this year?
I would say that there was a fundamental breach of the fair trial right, and they didn't even need to look any further. Anybody a layman who was looking at this case, the minute you heard that there was tampering and bribing as far back as December of the year before, you must know that you throw it out like rotten grapes or the fruit of the poisonous tree. The minute that we said that, so they were like, listen, you have a constitutional right for a fair hearing by independent and impartial jury. There's some oompy, hanky-panky going on. It cannot go on. Mm-hmm. You have no conscience or no opportunity to try to salvage the poison that was going on in that room. Didn't matter who was responsible for it. You needed to start over. Mm-hmm. And so they didn't look any further. They used one issue and they said conviction is gone. And that is something that it gave effect and respect to our constitution, especially at a time when the government is trying to change it and do away with it.
Mm-hmm. So people are still, a little confused as to, having gotten through the days of presentation at the Privy Council, what did the Privy Council remit back to Jamaica to the Court of Appeal, basically?
The Privy Council, having respect for the Jamaican justice system and the judges who sit at the Court of Appeal, said they were in the best decision to find out if they want to use state resources and have this matter tried again in light of the handling of the evidence, the issues surrounding the case, and whether the prosecution could mount a case, which I respectfully submit, and as you can see for yourself, they could not have. The exhibits were missing, witnesses unaccounted for. It was, the passage of time was not beneficial to anybody.
Mm-hmm. I went out on a limb. I did some reading myself, Isat, and a day before the judgment was handed down, I went public with my, shall we say, verdict, to use the word a little loosely, that I believe that Vybz Kartel and the co-accused would have walked free. Among the things that popped up in my research were 6 bases, which I stated, and I replayed it earlier on this morning: double jeopardy, the right to a fair and speedy trial, psychological and emotional impact, the finality of judgment, the credibility of the judicial system, and the proportionality and fairness in the circumstances. In a nutshell, did those factor in any way in the judgment at the Court of Appeal? And what can you tell us about that judgment?
Well, it's interesting. We haven't received the judgment as yet, but the judgment summary is something where she read it. It sounded like you were reading from her list.
Let's make it clear. I didn't influence her one way or another.
I'm wondering. You have friends in very high places. I'm concerned, but I will say though that you would have done proper research and came up with good conclusions. The Constitution had featured it was the main feature of this case, and it brings forth how it is that when you are cloaked in the presumption of innocence, people can't just do anything and be sloppy and expect that they're going to take your liberty. So you are right that she did look at the effects on the defendant, on the defendants. She did look at the fair hearing, the delay, how long it would have taken for them to actually get a trial, even possibly appeal again, all of that, and everything. You hit the nail on the head. And there were some other factors that they extended as in new things to look at: the expense on the state, how long the trial would be to clog up, how it would affect other inmates as they await their trials. So when you have a trial, this is the longest trial in the history of Jamaica. And when you think of trying to do it all over again, and trust me, with myself and the new attorneys doing this matter, it would be almost 4 times as long.
Yeah. Let's take a little deeper look at the impact that this outcome will have on the justice system in Jamaica. What are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts on that is this is a positive outcome for other persons. I maintain I don't ever think that this case was ever about Vybz Kartel. And as you can appreciate, Adidja Palmer is separate and apart from Vybz Kartel. And so what is important is that the jurisprudence is going to be affected. So there are going to be corrections to the Jury Act. There's going to be corrections in terms of court operations, how to make sure that justice moves along. We don't act as if we are in a third world country and we're always on vacation and we only work 2 days out of the 7 days of the week. All of these things, and persons who don't have the money will get the same attention as the people who can afford it. And that is why, coming from this, I anticipate an innocence project where we will have to have a mechanism where we can review, because I can tell you there are innocent people in prison right now and their life are wasted away because of mishandling of evidence and losing transcripts and everything that causes the prison system to be clogged. And don't think for a minute, notwithstanding how people are going to feel. And I'm not addressing the cartel matter, but there are persons who, when they say they're innocent, you can believe them.
Yeah.
And follow the evidence.
Yes. Let's focus a little bit now on your client, Adidja Palmer, Vibes Cartel. What is his mood? What is his mindset? What is his state of health? What can you tell us?
Boy, somebody need to take his phone. I think they used to say take Isat phone, but if we start by saying take Cartel's phone. He's everywhere on the internet. But he is happy. All of them. Speaking for the two that was released, and we're working on Kahira Jones to get him free. He has another matter, but they are happy. 13 years is a long time to just take from somebody's life. You can never replace that. I will say for him, he has a lot of work to do to restore dancehall in its rightful place, reggae music in general, in terms of on the world stage, and make it economically viable, not just for himself, but for the industry as a whole. The kind of revenue that he'll bring back to Jamaica, how they strategically place it, and whether or not the government will support, how to fill up all the hotels and the Airbnbs to have shows and things, not only just Sunfest and the usual ones, but to make this reggae dancehall village something where, like how they have the Vegas residency, where people will have that as I'm just putting out there that it is something big. And I'm anticipating where it will go, and I'm just thinking of everything positive, because I maintain he's a national treasure. We might not see it now, but we need to give people their flowers while they're alive. I think that's important.
Absolutely. Can you say whether or not he'll have to do surgery? Because we hear about his condition with the heart and I think Graves' disease.
Yeah, it's absolutely important. It's absolutely important. One of the recommendations from Dr. Karen Phillips, taking the opportunity to big her up, because she is very instrumental in why he's still alive now. That will be the course, and as they are working on the options in terms of what to do, we'll see how best it is, because also you do know that there are herbalist specialists that say that they can reverse certain conditions, and I'm sure he will not be stingy in accessing all alternatives.
All right, so all of the alternatives are being put on the table for review.
Yes.
People want to get some clarification as to what it might cost the state in terms of whether some refunds or payments. What is that looking like, and do you have a figure that you can state this morning?
In terms of what, the repayment?
Yes.
I can tell you that it is the figure isn't concluded, because you have to appreciate the figures that there was an assumption that I'm the only attorney on the case, but I can tell you there were at least 16 of us.
Wow.
If I can say it without sounding discriminated, the white faces, the European attorneys.
Okay.
There were many of them as well. It was just very expensive and overwhelming, and he fought the state, and they made sure he spent every dollar, which he ensured that he did. It is the government said they spent well over $100 million to facilitate, or 150 to facilitate just the 2 days of hearing, and they didn't disclose how much it had cost out here. I can tell you that whatever it is, when you start to times that by 10 at a minimum, we're well over 600,000 pounds. Wow. Well at the $1 million mark.
Wow. It's a lot of money that will have to come from the coffers. There are two things that I want to use to ask you in wrapping up. How important is your client's security and the security around him at this stage? Is it being looked at very seriously?
Yeah, I mean, when he make no mistake, his security team was can be mirrored to how they you see the VP and Donald Trump and everybody driving around in the United States. So
I mean,
it's
like
a convoy.
almost presidential.
It's not almost. It is presidential. I'm mirroring it because I saw those navigators, or what you call them, those guys, about 6-7 of them, and then the two limousines. So
Yeah.
the convoy was big, and then he also got assisted by the police in terms of escort. So he's not taking it lightly, and at this time, as you know, there are persons who are not happy about the verdict, but Jamaica, it appears that most people are. So it will be assessed from time to time.
Yes, and finally, Isat, can you give a date, or is there even contemplation for him to put on a show? If so, when, where? Any deets?
But I know if it's up to him, his show will be Saturday and it will be free. He's so ready. You know, the mind is willing, whether or not the body is able, that's a matter for God. There are many offers coming around. The international body seems more viable to take him up first. I hope that he does it in Jamaica. And why I'm not giving a date is, although I'm not his parent, I'm strong and resolute about ensuring that his health is a priority, because the health scare, even for me, I'm happy to see him walking around, but when your heart is at 32% beating, that's not something that you're to play with.
Isat Buchanan, thank you very much. Congratulations on the work that you have done, and we wish you all the best. Thanks for talking with me this morning. All right.
Thanks so much for having me.
Have a good day. All right, that's Isat Buchanan, ladies and gentlemen.